Hi there and welcome back, or welcome to my channel if you're new here. My name is Vera, and on here I like to share anything that's going on in my knitting life. So today I am making the very exciting video of everything that I made, that I knit this year, and I'm also gonna do a little try on. So I'm gonna be showing like all the items that I made, and yeah, talk about them a little bit. Now, of course, with this video I can't really go into all the details of every single item, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to link all the Ravelry projects down below, where you can also find like the size I made for every item and the amount of yarn that I use. I really try to be on top of my Ravelry like information, like putting everything in there, just because I reference it a lot as well. So usually like the amounts of yarn I use, like which colors I use and so on, should be all in the Ravelry project. Now, of course, sometimes I forget, or sometimes I gift an item away before I ended up like figuring out exactly how much yarn I used. So it's not always 100% there, but I really try my best to put it all in there. So all that will be linked down below. Another like thing I want to say at the beginning of this video is that I do work full-time and I do love knitting, but I do also have a lot of other like things I do in life, a lot of other hobbies, and I definitely also want to acknowledge that I do spend a lot of time knitting in between all of those things. So I don't want this to be like a comparison, or like I knit more than you or you knit more than me, not at all. So this really, I just am excited to show everything that I've knit this year. I don't want anyone to feel pressured that they should knit a certain amount, not at all. This is really just for fun and for me to get to show everything that I've knit and to maybe also inspire some of your future projects. Okay, so I'm going to start doing like a little try on. I tried to figure out like an order in which I should show all these items today, and I couldn't really figure something out. Now I could do it chronologically, but then I figured out, let's just fall back to the alphabet and do it alphabetically. So this is everything that I've knit this year in alphabetical order. I don't know if that's the best way to do it, but that's the way we're gonna do it now. So let's get started. Okay, so the first item I'm gonna share, I'm not gonna try on because it's a pair of socks and that would be kind of strange. But these are the Boyland socks. Here they are, two of them. These are a pair of colorwork socks, and they're actually a pattern from the week 52 weeks of easy knits. Here they are. I made them using 3 different colors of 4-ply sock wool, and the fun thing is that these are actually the same designer as another sweater that I made this year by Caitlin Hunter, and I didn't even know that she was the designer of these socks because I just made them from the book and I didn't really pay attention. But I think they look so beautiful. The only thing I will say with them is that the colorwork up here is just wide enough for me to get my foot in. I think that's always the case with like top down or any colorwork socks where that features colorwork like here, because you do need to get your heel through them. But I really love these, and I've also worn them like a number of times, and they are kind of starting to felt a tiny little bit here on the heel. But yeah, I tried to wear them. They're definitely not the socks I reach for the most just because of the color work up here, but they're also definitely my most beautiful socks that I have in my sock drawer of self-knitted socks, because yeah, I think the pattern is just so beautiful. I did follow the colors that were suggested by the pattern. I didn't use the same yarn, but yeah, these are my Boyland socks by Caitlin Hunter. Definitely probably my favorite socks I knit this year. I'm not really sure. These were a pair I started in 2024 and then I carried over. They really took like a long time just because I wasn't really working on them like frequently at all. They were kind of like my car project, my travel project, and then eventually I was just kind of like, I just want them done, so I went and sat to finish them. And yeah, I think that's all I'll say about these. So my Boyland socks are the first knit that I want to share today. The next item I'll share today is a hat, and before I do that I want to apologize for all the helicopter noises in the background. I don't know if you can hear them, but basically we had a forest fire here yesterday, which is very uncommon here, and they're still trying to extinguish the fire, I'm pretty sure. So I don't think those noises will stop in the next few days either. Everything's fine, everyone is fine, no one is hurt or anything, and it's a pretty small fire in terms of like what forest fires get to. But yeah, we can like watch the helicopters fly up and down the mountain, and I'm just hoping that everything is contained, which it sounds like it is, but hence the helicopter sounds in the background. So the next item I want to share is a gift knit that I made. So I don't have it with me, but I'll put in pictures of gift knits. There are a number of gift knits, so I was able to like take pictures of all of them. This one is a checked hat, so it's next in the alphabet because I just named it checked hat. It's a pattern that I guess I self-drafted. I did watch like a number of tutorials online and like looked at some different blogs and websites because this is a crochet project. So yeah, I used 2 colors to get the checked effect. I took the yarn with me, like to, yeah, you have to carry the yarn in crochet, like color work. And yeah, then I just essentially made this big rectangle with some like lower, like I did kind of like a trapezoid shape, and then I like tied it all together, and then I created this checked hat, which like I said, she had asked me to make for her in exactly these colors, and then I gifted it to her. So that was a fun side project, a fun side crochet project. I used a cotton yarn for it. I used like the white and blue of the same yarn, both cotton yarns. And I just remember it taking quite a bit longer than expected. I'm not really sure why. I think with all hats, you always think that it's gonna be a fast project until it's not. And it was kind of similar with this one. I think if I were to remake this one though, I would definitely make it in a woolen yarn because I think the cotton was just not the best choice in terms of like a hat. I'm not really sure how much she wears it. I hope she wears it, but I think next time like I would make it in a bit of a chunkier woolen yarn instead of this relatively thin cotton yarn that I made it in. So before I move on to the next item, I want to take a moment to thank today's video sponsor, which is Craftsy. Craftsy is an online community for like-minded makers where members can find inspiration, advance their skills, and even find a new hobby. It is an online resource where you can take classes. There's over 2,000 of them being offered in all different sorts of categories, including knitting, crocheting, sewing, quilting, baking, cooking, even cake decorating, which I think is so cool. And Craftsy is really the online resource for all things creative, where you can find anything that you might need. The nice thing I think is that they cater to really the beginners as well as to people who have been in the craft for many years, which I think is really valuable when you're already at maybe an advanced level, but you even want to take it a little bit further. So one of the classes that I've been taking is the Fair Isle Fundamentals by Tanis Gray, where it's really an all-encompassing class where they talk about color theory, different methods, like catching your floats, all those like details that are really gonna make your final piece stand out more. The classes are broken down, step-by-step instructions, and there's really not much that can go wrong. So the good news is that if you would also like to join Craftsy and become a member to expand your creative skill set and be inspired, the first 1,000 people watching this video to click on the link down below will get a full year of premium Craftsy membership for just $1.49, and the link for that will be included down below. Okay, so let's continue with the next item. The next item is the Cloud Sweater by Kutovakika, so I'm gonna put it on. So this is the Cloud Sweater by Kutovakika. I love this thing so much. It is a 100% like mohair, kid silk mohair knit. I held 2 yarns together of 2 different colors. So let me show you, which gives like this beautiful marled fabric. They were both kid silk mohairs from Hobie. One is like a darker blue, one is a middle blue. And this thing I love so much. I will say that this was a custom from 2024, and then I never wore it because the neckline was super wide, because for some reason the pattern doesn't include like the collar. And then I figured out that if I was gonna wear it, it needed a collar, so I added this collar right here. And ever since I did that, I wear this thing all the time. It is so nice. I think this is also just a beautiful color on me. Yeah, and Also really love the balloon sleeves, which I'm also not sure was like in the pattern, but I love them. I think this is one of those sweaters that just looks really elegant. You can dress it up, you can dress it down. It is one of my favorites for sure. The only thing I maybe would change in the future if I were to make it again was that it kind of balloons out at the bottom here, which I'm not the lover, like the biggest fan of, like especially if you stand sideways. There's kind of like just some weird ballooning. I don't really know why. Maybe I just need to block it again, like, and pull it into the right shape. But otherwise, this is a big hit of the year. This was also a pattern of her book Knit This. Yeah, the first book. Exactly, yeah. So it's a pattern in her book Knit This, which is her first book, which I have as an ebook. So it's been really nice being able to make a few patterns out of that book. So that is my cloud sweater by Kutovakika in this beautiful blue color. The next sweater is also one that I actually gifted away. It is the Coffee Run sweater, also by Kutovakika. This one, however, is part of her second book. Let me show it to you. This is her second book, which I then decided to buy like as a paper version, just because, I don't know, there's something about like holding a book. I will say though, for knitting out of it, I actually kind of prefer the ebook version of like patterns, because then I can just like, I don't know, write on it with my Apple Pen and it doesn't close, and everything is on my iPad, kind of like on the go. And if I'm out somewhere, I can have it on my phone. And like with a book like this, I actually end up taking pictures of the pattern anyway, so that I can have it with me when I'm on the go. Anyways, this is the sweater, the Coffee Run sweater by Kutovakika. I made this in a blue yarn in Drops Air for my aunt, and she really enjoys wearing it. I know that. It was a pretty easy knit. It's a top-down raglan with this beautiful like twisted rib detail as the raglan that actually continues down on the side. And yeah, I kind of want to make one for myself as well, because I was making it for her and I just kind of wanted to keep it because I just thought it looked really, really nice. So yeah, that is from her second book, Knits to Wear. So that is the Coffee Run sweater by Kutovakika. As a designer, I love her. Like, I think she was like one of the designers who kind of like got me way more into knitting. I think she was like the first modern designer I saw from when I kind of started. Like, I've always been knitting here and there, but I was never really into like I just didn't really know about the whole knitting community and like the really modern designers, and she was probably the first one that kind of like I came across, and then owning her first book kind of really got me into like knitting again, where I was always knitting a little bit, but it kind of really like just sparked my motivation. So there is a big thank you to Veronica Lindberg or Kutovakika. The next is one of my favorite knits of the year for sure. This is the Cosima sweater, which I was part of the test knit for. Also, I will like say this again, I've said it in like podcasts before, but the Uniqlo Supima cotton, not sponsored at all, like genuinely just like a tip, are the most comfortable like items to wear under knits. I find I wear a lot of merino under them when it's like actually cold out, but merino catches the fiber and these don't. Like, I've worn knits over this the whole time and barely any fiber catches, so I really enjoy that for trying on different knits and wearing it underneath knits. But anyways, I need to also remember to like make the neck holes looser. I have so many sweaters where I can barely get it over, and it works because like I can still get it over, but just so yeah. But this is the Cosima sweater by Gregoria Fibres, which is one of her newer patterns. I was actually part of the test knit in the summer, and it is this beautiful like V-neck sweater that I knit in Knitting for Olive Merino Held Double. It was my first time using the Knitting for Olive Merino, and I now, after the sweater, understand why everyone loves it, and everyone like, I know some knitters who knit like, or it seems like they knit exclusively in this yarn, and I fully understand why now. Since making this sweater, I've fallen in love with this yarn so much that I've ordered a lot more, which, I mean, it is like on the pricier side compared to the yarns I have available to me here in my local knit shops, but I think it's totally worth it. So yeah, I will be knitting a lot more in this yarn in 2026. Anyways, about this pattern. It is a relatively simple, like constructed pattern. It is a top down, kind of like, it is a drop shoulder, just a slight drop shoulder sweater that I would describe the construction of it as relatively simple with a lot of details of like techniques to make it fit really well. So it includes short rows in different sections. It includes this beautiful like high v-neck. I'm not sure I love like the low v-necks because I frankly just don't have anything to wear underneath it and I wouldn't feel as comfortable. But with this high v-neck, I think it like really meets that perfect like in between. And yeah, even like at the bottom, there's like some decreases worked and so on just to make it fit really well. And I think that's also why I reach for it a lot. This is probably like one of my most worn knits this year. And yeah, I'm not sure about the color. I will say in all honesty, I wish it had been a little bit more purple than it is. It is a very gray purple and I think I just need a little bit more color, but it is what it is and I still love wearing it no matter what. So that's the Cosima sweater by Gregoria Fibres. Speaking of low v-necks, this is a different one though. Next is my Cumulus blouse by Petite knit. Let me put it on. So I don't have the opening problem with this one, but this is my Cumulus blouse by Petite knit, which I knit up in Diablo by Hobie. Let me kind of place it nicely. And I mean, this is a blouse, so it is very lightweight and I held the yarn double. It still gives a nice amount of warmth though. And then my favorite thing about this thing is the color. I love it. Like, I think this is 100% my color. Yeah, I think the Cumulus blouse by Petite knit is one of like the most popular patterns she has, and I understand why. I think this thing is just super flattering. It is so simple. Like, it is one of probably like the easiest knits she has. But it does also include like the I-cord edging here around the sleeves and at the bottom, but just kind of make it like a little bit like different, just not a plain stockinette item. My issue with this is my neck opening is super low, and like I already adjusted this to be, I think, like maybe 4 centimeters, so like what's that, 1.5 inches, I don't know, 4 centimeters like higher than what the pattern called for. But still, like, I think it is too low for me to wear without anything underneath, because as soon as I lean over, that's just not like what I want. So what I'm thinking is I will put a rubber, like an elastic in it, because I can either wear it like this, which is obviously super low at the front, or I can like pull it back and like make it like this, but then it gets really low at the back. So I'm not sure about the fit of it. I'm not sure if it's a yarn thing. I don't know what it is. It's just not my favorite in this area. Could be a me problem. This is a super popular pattern, and I think not as many people would make it if everyone had this issue. So I'll try to fix it in one way or another. But this is also, like, I really like wearing this still. I wear it to work. I can, you know, like, it keeps me warm because of the yarn. It is like a mohair, but mostly polyester acrylic yarn, so it just has that warmth to it. But yeah, this is my Cumulus blouse, which I want to make another one of because I just think it is elegant but very easy to wear. I don't know what to do about the V opening situation though, so let me know if you've made this, if you have that issue too, because yeah. But yeah, that's my Cumulus blouse by Petite knit. The next item is my Darjeeling blouse by Tromp Le Monde, which I'm gonna put on. So here it is. I love this one so much when I'm wearing it. Now obviously this is a summer knit. It has a similar shape at the top actually as the Cumulus blouse, where the back is also relatively wide and the front is also relatively low. So it is definitely something that I either need to wear a tank top underneath or kind of like wear something underneath that will not expose myself too much. But this pattern is by Tromp Le Monde, and the construction was interesting that it was a bottom up, where you like, it's like a bottom-up, structured together like situation, which made it not the easiest to knit because like lengthwise I wasn't really sure where it was gonna go. I was also really worried that it was gonna be like way too wide, and like it is still wide, but it's definitely like wearable. I added these beautiful buttons to it, so like these pearl buttons, but when I had added them, you could like, there was just holes between them, so I needed to like stitch it together. So these buttons are literally just for decoration, but I think they're really cute, and I definitely love the final piece. It was also the first time I did this like picot edging, followed by the lace. I don't know if you can really see that, but it has these really cute like sleeves, and also the bottom is really nice. So this is definitely like a fun project, and one that also like I learned quite a lot with. The pattern is not the easiest, so I will not recommend this for like beginners, but if you are looking to like learn more in your knitting, it's definitely a pattern for you to try out. And I will also say, if you're making this, trust the process. I was really wary of how wide it was going to be, how the dimensions were going to work out, but it really worked out just fine. If I were to make it again though, I would definitely like decrease the opening just a tiny little bit, just to like feel a little bit more comfortable in it. But this is honestly one of my favorite summer knits this year. Next we have the Diamond Twill Vest. Here it is by Nina Pommerenke. It is this diamond like pattern that's created with knits and pearls. And I made this, when did I make this? I think I made it like at the beginning of the year. I remember frogging the whole thing because it was just way too big, and then I remember seeing a lot of other people also having the same issue. So I made this in Drops Nepal in this beautiful like beige color, and it is a bottom-up garment, and the thing I wish that I could do, and maybe I will do, is to lengthen it a little bit, because it is very cropped, like it is here, which I understand is like just that's how some people like their vests, and when I wear it I feel fine, but like I always do wish there was like a little bit more at the bottom. In terms of the knitting experience, it was definitely like a focus knit, because every like row repeat, I mean, first you're knitting it flat and then you're knitting it in the round. Sorry, first you're knitting it in the round, then you're knitting it flat, because it is bottom up. You do have to pay attention, because if you mess up like one stitch of the diamond, your whole diamond shifted. And yeah, it was something that wasn't too intuitive to me at all, in all honesty. I don't know why. It was just like a lot of knits and pearls, but I do think it's because these diamonds, they're not just diamonds, they're very like textured, if that makes sense. Like there is lines around them and so on and so forth, and then also with the edge I wasn't really sure like how, but I really enjoyed the finished project. I think it's really cute, and yeah, this is also from the book 52 Weeks of Easy Knits, and the designer is Nina Pommerenke, and this vest definitely got me more into vests this year, and yeah, I do wear it like quite a bit, so maybe I will just leave it at the length that it is and call it a crop vest. The next item I started at the very end of 2024. I remember sitting on my parents' balcony knitting this in December, and then I took it back, and then I eventually finished it I think in March. It is the Elisabeth blouse by Petite knit. Looks like this, in these beautiful orange stripes. This was my second Elisabeth blouse that I knit. The first one I made short sleeves, and my parents had gifted me this yarn. This is called Touch by the Beautiful Yarn Company. It is a mix of merino, possum fiber, and silk. So it is a very interesting yarn structure. I've never knit anything with possum before, and I just love this thing so much. They gifted gray and orange to me, so I needed to kind of like find a pattern for that, which wasn't the easiest. And then I figured out that the Elisabeth blouse would be perfect for it. And here it is. I love it. I wear this thing all the time, and I think the Elisabeth blouse with its collar is just such a beautiful, beautiful piece of knitwear. And this blouse also made my mom want one, so now I'm going to knit her own Elisabeth blouse, which I think is going to be really nice for her as well. I did make an adjustment to higher the neckline again a little bit. I don't know if it's me, but I either knits fall very low on me, or I just don't prefer it the way a lot of other people prefer it, and that like I don't want my neck opening to be too low. So same with the Cumulus blouse here, I lifted it a little bit. It's very easy to do, you just join in the round a little bit earlier than what it asks you to, essentially. And yeah, that's my Elisabeth blouse by Petite Knit, also a favorite of the year for sure. So this is my next knit, and if there was ever a problem child of all my knits this year, it is this t-shirt. This is called Give Me the Tea by Jenny Ansah, and I had so many issues making this thing. First I was really excited because it was my first summer knit of the year, and I just wanted like a cute plain t-shirt. I knit this up using Drops Bell. The yarn was really nice. The yarn is amazing. I can machine wash it, no issue. This is actually freshly washed because I wanted to wash it before I put it away for the winter. But this is also a pattern from the book 52 Weeks of Easy Knits, which I actually knit quite a bit out of this year, which I'm happy with. The thing with this was that it had weird short rows at the back, which were literally this wide. So now it's kind of like, I don't know if it's still bulging out a little bit, but back here, there's like some very, maybe I'll turn into the sun. There's some very weird short rows going on that like are meant to lift the back, but it's not really doing that much for the t-shirt. And then you can see that even now on me, it's still cropped. I will say I added 15 centimeters onto this t-shirt, maybe 10 to 15. Because initially it told me to only knit like until around about here in the pattern, and the pattern is written for a very cropped t-shirt, which doesn't look like it from the pictures. And now of course I ordered, like I always order an extra skein of yarn just to be safe, but with this I was playing yarn chicken because now I had to lengthen the t-shirt for it not to be like a very short crop top. It worked out fine. Then there was also this weird edge that was like a sewn over edge that I was just not loving, so I just like costed it off, and now it's like this nice, or I think it's nice, like a rolled edge. So yeah, I like it now. I can wear this with skirts, I can wear this to work, I can wear it, I don't know, with like high-waisted jeans or something, but it definitely took a while to get there. And this was definitely the pattern I was a little bit disappointed with, I will say. Like, I don't want to sound too negative on here, but that is honestly just what it was. I'm not sure what happened. I then checked on Ravelry, which I should have done much earlier, and everyone seemed to be having this issue of the crop top just being like literally here, and having to add a lot of extra yarn. Luckily I had the yarn to do it, because otherwise it would not be a wearable item. And with all the adjustments I made, now I'm actually really happy with it. And it is also one that's really wearable because it's a very neutral tone that goes with most things. I think it looks really cute with the necklaces on as well. And it is like a linen cotton blend in the yarn, which is also really nice. So yeah, that is the Give Me the Tea by Jenny Ansah from the book 52 Weeks of Easy Knits. Next we have one Oslo hat, and this is the one I made for my now husband very recently actually. It's already so dirty because it's black and it just catches a lot of dirt and a lot of sawdust and whatever else he's putting on, but I literally only cast this off like maybe 2 weeks ago or so. It is an Oslo hat by Petite Knit, and it's for him, so it's definitely like more snug. He didn't want like a lot of bulge at the top. This is what it looks like. It's just in black, and I think it's really cute on him as well. I made this using the Drops Cotton Merino yarn, which is not itchy at all, and yeah, I mean, not much can go wrong with the Oslo hat. I did make another one, which I'll show you later, but this is the first one I made, or the second one I guess I made this year, in this very plain black color. And I think if you're trying to knit something for a man in your life, I can definitely recommend this. The only adjustment I made was that I shortened the brim by around 1 or 2 centimeters. It's all in the Ravelry notes, just because otherwise it would have been a little bit too bulky or like high, because we weren't gonna make the head part as long either. I know it's really hard to see because it's black, but yeah, this is the Oslo hat by Petite Knit in Drops Cotton Merino. I only used like 2 skeins, so this is like a 100 grams or less project. So kind of nice. Another hat that I made this year that I gifted to a friend is also from this book from Kutovakika, and it is called Keep It Together. I'll show you the picture of it here. This is in red, I made it in blue. I'll put in like the picture of the one I made as well. This was a gift knit. It was a very easy gift knit. I made it in Drops Air, which I think I'm gonna stop making hats in because it's not the softest. I find it very itchy actually. I don't know, I'm not very sensitive to knits on my body, but once it's a hat, I can not bear many things at all. The Drops Cotton Merino was really nice, the one from the Oslo hat, but the Drops Air I think is too itchy for a hat in all honesty. This is a really simple hat, 2x2 rib, really basic, and yeah, it was just kind of like a quick gift knit that I made for him. The next one is another jumper. It is the King Salmon sweater that I made for my, well, back then he was my fiance, now he's my husband, but for him this year. Let me try it on. It is his, but I also really like wearing it. So here it is, the King Salmon sweater. So this is the other item that I made by Caitlin Hunter this year. And honestly, he wanted a fish sweater. We've been talking about a fish sweater, like probably the first time we talked about it was half a year before I started making it. And then I saw this pattern, it was kind of gaining a lot of traction, and then I was like, why don't we just make this one? And then I did, and it turned out so perfect. I love it so much. I didn't do this intentionally, but I did follow kind of the colors of the pattern, like the ones she uses in her sample. But yeah, I love it so much. The fish were definitely very engaging in that every round of color work was different. So there was a lot of looking at the pattern and working round by round, trying to memorize the repeat. By the end of the round, I would have memorized the repeat, and then it wasn't time for a new repeat. So in that way, it was a pretty engaging pattern. And I am just so in love with the end result. I didn't make any adjustments to it. I know people split for the sleeves earlier. If I were to make this for myself, I would, just because you can see it here. I can raise my arms to here, and then the whole sweater comes up with it. So if I were to make it for myself, I would split earlier, but because it's for him, like his proportions are different, it works out perfectly fine. And yeah, this is, oh yeah, I should probably add, I made this in Alpina Landhauswolle, which is a, I guess, local to me yarn that I bought at my local yarn shop. It is a 80% wool, 20% polyacryl is my guess yarn. That is definitely has like a rougher like feel, but it's not itchy because it is a super wash or a semi super wash treated yarn, as I learned. And yeah, I love it. I think I'm gonna make myself one. I keep saying that I actually need to go around and do it. The next knit is the Lars crossbody bag, which was a gift knit that I made for my friend. The designer is Johanna Gehrisch. So here it is. This knit was so difficult. It looked like a simple bag, but I was knitting this on 2.5mm needles on cotton yarn. So I used the Hobie Cotton 8/4 yarn, which is a yarn that is a very sturdy cotton yarn. And now with all these I-cords, and that you have to essentially, you knit and then you make an I-cord and then you pick up from the I-cord. And it was just so hard on my fingers, and it was also really difficult to get like, I don't know, I feel like wool is a little bit forgiving, cotton is definitely not. And cotton, a thick cotton on 2.5mm needles where you have to do a lot of like picking up and stuff like that with your stitches, it was just not an easy knit. I still gifted it to my friend. I'm not sure it was like my best work ever. I was going to knit a strap for it, but I was so done with this project that I just bought a strap, put it on, and called it a day. I did sew an inlet for it as well with the sewing machine at my grandma's place, which also took us an entire night to sew that inlet, and she is a, like, she was a sewer by trade. So, or I should say she was a seamstress. She was a seamstress by trade. So yeah, definitely one of my least favorite projects this year. I would also say, unless you really love the way it looks, don't maybe make it. I don't know. I just said, I will also say that, like, don't be fooled by how seemingly easy it looks. I don't think it's an easy project at all. If you disagree, please let me know down below if you've made this bag and found it super easy. I definitely thought it was difficult. There was even video instructions and everything. But yeah, I thought it was gonna be a quick and easy project, and then it kind of turned into this whole ordeal, and I was just kind of happy it was done. I do like the way that finished project looks. I think it looks cute, but yeah, the journey there was not really my favorite. Next, my next knit is the Margaux top by Gregoria Fibres. This is what it looks like. They're all kind of creased because they're just in storage in the basement at the moment, but let me try it on. So this is my Margaux top, and I love this thing so, so much. This is a bottom-up top, and I also know that it's not my best color. It's fine. I'm a little bit more tan in the summer, obviously, but I do like the idea of just having like a very neutral top, so that is what this is. And it is a bottom-up top with this beautiful, like, kind of like a long, wide opening, and this really nice texture pattern that's created by like just knits and pearls and lace and kind of everything together. Yeah, I used the yarn Hobie's Rainbow Bamboo in a neutral color, and I cannot recommend this yarn more. I think this is one of the best yarns Hobie has. It is super soft. It is, yes, it's a cotton yarn, but it has like a little bit of forgiveness, a little bit of stretch to it. It is naturally cooling, which is really nice. I think that's a property of bamboo. And yeah, just putting this on right now, I am kind of getting cold, but in the summer months where I would be wearing this like out, that is exactly like the property I'm looking for, especially in a hand knit, which are always going to be a little bit thicker than like a regular cotton t-shirt. I think this is one of my most elegant knits that I've ever made. I'm really, really happy I made it. It was pretty popular this summer, so I just kind of like hopped on the train. Maybe I will make another one in a darker color that like suits me a little bit better than this one. But for now, I am really, really loving my Margaux top by Gregoria Fibres. This took a really long time, by the way, to finish. I knit this on 2.5mm needles because my 3mm needles broke and I was on a trip. And it just took a really long time, and I remember kind of it being a drag to finish, and then I only finished it kind of like towards the end of the summer, but I'm already really excited to wear it next summer. So this is my next knit, and it is the Monday sweater by Petite knit, which was by far one of the easiest and also one of my favorite knits of the year. It is one of, if not her most famous pattern, and it is a really basic raglan that I made in this, like, it's called Blueface Leicester wool. It is by the yarn brand Etrofil, which is a Turkish yarn brand, and I purchased this in Sarajevo, which is the capital city of Bosnia and Herzegovina, when we went there on a trip this summer. And what I really always love doing is buying yarn in a place that I'm visiting to also be able to remember the yarn and to kind of have, or be able to make myself a souvenir from it. So that is this yarn. It is in the color Bordeaux, and I just love this thing so much. The only thing I don't love about the yarn is how much hair it catches. So whenever I'm wearing this, I'm constantly picking hair off of it. It is a little bit of a rougher yarn. It is soft next to skin, but it definitely like has the like woolen feel to it, and I think that's why it catches the hair. But anyways, the sweater I think is really cute. It is a really basic top-down raglan, so if you're looking to knit your first sweater, or if you just want something that's super mindless, I can only recommend this pattern. It's by Petite knit, and there's really not much that can go wrong with it, to be honest, and I wear mine all the time. I think it's a really cute like autumn color. It's also a really nice like Christmassy color, so I've gotten a lot of wear out of this, and I didn't cast it off too long ago. Another project that I cast off quite recently is this one. It is called My Yose Hood by the NORgard knitters, and this was honestly the project that I underestimated most this year, because it is a hood that goes on your head, but look how huge it is. Like, this is, I have to like step back here and try to not run into my cabinet behind me. But this is my Jose hood by the NORgard knitters. So let me show you how it is put on, because it just looks really weird like this. But once you put it on, it actually makes a lot of sense. I wanted a hood because I cycle to work every morning and it is really cold here in the mornings, like usually minus something. And here it is. I wanted something that had a big scarf with it. That's why I chose this pattern. And that's kind of exactly what it is. Oops. There we go. So this is what it looks like when it's worn, which I think is really cute. Like just, yeah, with my hair a little bit out like this. And the nice thing is that you can really quickly just put it back and have it like kind of be a scarf. So as soon as I walk inside, or if I get a little bit warm, I can just put the hood down and then like bring it back up real quick. I like it because I don't need to worry about like putting a hat somewhere. I can just like kind of cozy up in it. It's really warm. I made this in a combination of different yarns because I just really didn't understand how much fabric it would be and how big it would be. So I wanted it to use up all my upcycled alpaca blend by Hobie, which it did until I ran out, and then I had to use a different yarn for the I-cord, which was the Drops Nepal, until I ran out, and then I had to like put my whole yarn stash upside down to try to find more of it. And then I luckily did, so I was able to finish the project, because otherwise this would not be part of this video today, because I didn't have, like, I used up all the yarn that I could. The reason this is also a different color, like this is marled because I put it with a mohair, and the marled just stops down here because I ran out of the mohair as well. So it kind of worked out, and then I showed it in a podcast I think a few weeks ago, and then a lot of people like said that they actually really liked it and that it doesn't look unintentional at all, the way it's like different shades. So that kind of gave me encouragement, to be honest. I'm still obviously like gonna wear it. I've worn it a number of times and it really serves its purpose well. It is a pattern that I would recommend if you're looking for something just big and bulky and like warm. But be aware that this is like the caliber almost of a sweater. My thing weighs 350 grams and I have sweaters that weigh less. Here you can really see the color difference. This is just with the mohair, this is without the mohair, and then the I-cord is a whole different yarn. So it kind of worked well as a scrap yarn project, an unintentional scrap yarn project. My Jose or Yose hood by the NORgard knitters, which I've learned to love, honestly. Knitting experience wise though, if you're making it, I'm gonna warn you right now, because this is all knit in one, like this is one round or like one row. This whole thing is knit top down, so yeah, just something to be aware of that I was not aware of. Okay, next is my other Oslo hat. This is the first one I actually made, and this I made on a trip. We were going to Italy, or to Südtirol, South Tyrol, for a few days in May, and we were like kind of on a hut tour, and we definitely have like a hat culture here. Like everyone wears hats all the time. People wear hats in the heat. Like if it's 30 degrees out, people will still be wearing hats outside. I don't, but I kind of felt like I needed a few more hats, so I wanted to make myself one. And this is the one I made. This is my first Oslo hat, and as you can see, this one is like way more bulky than the other one. It has like a lot of fabric up here as well, and this section is also much bulkier than the other one. I made this holding together the Malabrigo Mechita in the color Wales Road, which is beautiful. And I held it with mohair, and let me show you what I did. So I held it with the Hobie Kid Silk mohair, which I knew was a little bit itchy, and I cannot bear itchiness on my hats. So what I did is, like, in the fold and the part that touches my skin, I actually only did it with the Mechita, which is a superwash merino yarn, which isn't itchy at all. And that way, like, if you, like, you can really see the color difference because I used the darker mohair to hold with it. But I just stopped holding the mohair. And now when I fold it up, the part that's against my skin is actually all just the merino. And I think I was honestly like impressed by myself that I came to this conclusion that I was going to do it with that hat, because now I can wear this hat, and this is definitely like my most comfortable hat to wear, because it doesn't itch at all, although it has like a lot of mohair on the outside. So there is a tip, I guess, if you're also a little bit sensitive on your head like I am. Yeah. So that's my first Oslo hat. The only issue with this is that it's way too big. It is super loose and big, which is fine most of the time, but when it is like a very cold and windy day, it would just be warmer if it was a little bit tighter. It's a gauge issue. It's completely my own fault. I didn't like calculate my gauge correctly, even from the gauge swatch. I don't know why that happened. But yeah, I still wear it a bunch like on the not so cold days. So it works just fine. The Oslo hat from Petite knit. Okay, next is another gift knit. I'm just gonna be wearing this Monday sweater until like the next sweater comes up. Next is another gift knit that I made for my brother's fiance. We make each other advent calendars, so I always like knitting 1 or 2 gifts in there. And this year they got one for me and then included this pink pair of socks, which I think I did show it on the podcast because I'm not sure they always watch them. So I made a pair of pink socks. I self-drafted these and I added like this cute little cable on the sides. My intention is to make this into a pattern. I just honestly like haven't had the time to do it. And I think she really enjoyed them. I knit them on a 6-ply sock yarn, and yeah, it was a pretty quick knit because 6-ply sock yarn is definitely like a lot faster than a 4-ply sock yarn. And for a gift knit, I think it was honestly quite nice, and she also enjoys them. So those are my, I don't know what I'm gonna call them, my pink socks for now. Next is my Sabai top, which I think everybody knit this summer, so I'm gonna show you mine. So here's my Sabai top. Shape-wise, it's very similar to the Margo top in that it's kind of like joined at the top here, and then just kind of like 2 rectangle panels. I mean, it's a little bit more complex than that, but this is the Sabai top by Paula Stritt, I believe. And I knit this in the soft cotton yarn by Lana Grossa. I just got it at my local yarn shop. I just wanted to go and kind of like feel the yarns and feel which one is gonna feel summery. The Sabai top is so easy to make. It's a top-down top, and it really, like, the only thing you need to pay attention to is like the sides, which features like this nice ribbing, just a little like detail across the sides, and then of course the ribbing at the top, and the ribbing also continues along the sides here. And yeah, then it kind of creates this beautiful top. It was a really quick knit because the gauge I think is like 20 stitches, so pretty quick. It's all stockinette, and yeah, a very simple but effective like pattern for a summer top. I understand why everyone knit this summer, because I think this shape just looks good on like so many different body types, and yeah, it's very easy to knit, so why not, I guess. And yeah, there's different like versions. I think there's one with like the ribbed top and one without the ribbing at the top, and I did the one with the ribbing at the top. Yeah, it's really soft, mine. I really like the yarn, and yeah, I don't think I'll make another one because now I have 2 tops like with this shape. But I will say that this color is way better for me than the Margo top, than the fleshy color. So yeah, maybe I'll make the Margo top in like a similar color to this. We'll see. Okay, then came the time when the whole internet was making the sailor slippers, so of course I had to make a pair, or 2 pairs as well. So my husband actually asked me to make him a pair of felted slippers, and then I thought, wait, is it because you've seen all these videos online of like everyone felting slippers, and he really didn't know what I was talking about? So it kind of worked out in that he wanted a pair of felted slippers, and then everyone was making them at the moment, so I knew exactly like which pattern to use for it. And these are the ones I made for him. They are in size European, I think 45, and they're very felted, so they're quite like thin and not that poofy. It has sawdust on it, which I cannot get off, so just ignore that for now. So these are his pair, which I made first, and then I think we almost over felted them, but in retrospect that was a good choice because then I made this second pair, which are my version, and these are less felted, and they're definitely like pilling a little bit more. I did felt them again since. So yeah, 2 pairs of sailor slippers. Both of them I made in Drops Snow. This one are dark green and gray, and then the same gray for the bottom, these cute blue and white, blue and pink stripes. And yeah, these kind of like were just a fun project. They were definitely more than it looks like as well, because you make them, someone on the internet described it as like a leg's length of a shoe, which is very accurate because like you make them in like one long 2, and it's really long. We love these. We wear them all the time. He wears them outside on the balcony when he's doing his woodworking, hence all the sawdust. And I just kind of wear mine inside because our apartment is not always the warmest. So yeah, these keep me nice and toasty because I feel like warmth comes from the feet. When your feet are warm, the rest of you is also a little bit warmer. So yeah, those are the Sailor Slippers by Annie Sews, and I've talked about these so much, so I'm not going to talk about them that much anymore. Next are my Sakura mittens, which were a pattern that is now published actually. So I designed these myself, and then I did a whole test knit, and now I published the pattern. These are what I call my Sakura mittens. Here we go. So it is a pair of colorwork mittens with this really cute like flower like motif at the top. Like they are ribbed here, so you can either wear them like this or you can fold up the rib. And I love these a lot actually. So I knit them up in Drops Air, held together with a Drops Kid Silk Mohair. And the reason I love them is because of the double color. The inside obviously looks like this, right? So it's very, like all the strands are double, which just gives so much extra warmth. And I've worn these almost every single day, just biking to work, because they give me so much more warmth that just like a simple pair of mittens would. So it's been really, really nice in all honesty. And it was also really fun like hosting the test knit, making sure the whole pattern was like really good to go and like good to be published. I have them in 3 different sizes. These are like the medium size. And yeah, it was just like a really fun, I don't know, I enjoyed it. So now the pattern is available if you're interested. I'll link it down below. These are my Sakura mittens, I guess pattern designed by myself. Next is a knit from earlier in the year. It is my Simple Things pullover, also by Kutovakika. Let me put it on. So here it is. It is kind of like this oversized sweater. It is a top-down drop shoulder sweater with this really like nice twisted ribbing like at the bottom, at the collar, and at the sleeves. This is from Kutovakika's second book as well, and this was kind of like the first pattern that really like sparked my interest. This was the first pattern I made out of that book. I knit this up in the upcycled alpaca blend, and my hood that I just showed was like the leftovers from the sweater. I will say the upcycled alpaca blend, I do find like a tiny little bit itchy. It doesn't deter me from wearing the sweater, but when I'm wearing it, it does take like a little bit to get used to like the minor itch that it has. So it is a very oversized sweater, like it is huge. I think the positive ease is like 40 centimeters or something. So it is like very large, but I really like that about it. I just feel really comfortable in it. It kind of like, I wear this with like my wide jeans, and then it just like, it's a whole like vibe, and I really enjoy it. The only thing I think I just need to block it, is that the ribbing is kind of pulling inwards again, where it used to just kind of like lay flat out, like not kind of cause the whole sweater to scrunch a little bit. And I think that's a blocking thing. But yeah, overall, love the sweater, would recommend, but also note that it is very oversized. Like even the collar is like really wide in itself. I've noticed that that's kind of like more of her style now. That Kutovakika's newer patterns, they're all relatively oversized, relatively large, which is not always my vibe, I feel like. So often I'll knit a size down or something, but for this one I actually really enjoy it because it is just a very simple sweater that just kind of like the thing that makes it interesting is like that it's oversized, I guess, right? Yeah, so that's the Simple Things sweater by Kutovakika. The Simple Things sweater is not to be confused with the Simple Thing, which are 2 separate patterns. This one is the mini scarf by Melina Burrell, and it is a mini scarf just like this. It's called the Simple Thing, and I made this on my trip to Thailand earlier this year. So it is a mini scarf that I wanted it so that if you like tie it around twice, you can have like a tiny little knot and have it be like just enough. Or if you tie it around once, you can have like a pretty big knot and have it be like all cute like that. So I actually wear this quite a lot, especially in the spring, because I don't know, it's just useful. I find these very nice to wear. I've made many of these, like I've made 2 or 3 I think last year, but none of them I was able to keep. People kept like asking for them, so I gave it to them. And this I was like, I'm making this for myself. The most interesting thing about this scarf though is the yarn I used. And this is yarn that I found on my grandma's attic from her knitting days, which I think she stopped knitting like 30-ish years ago. And this yarn was still in the old German currency, and all it said is like a Angora polyamide mix. Angora is a rabbit, and that's all I know about it. So it's a very lightweight yarn. It came in like these tiny 25 gram skeins, and it just looked like a very, like back then it was pretty very valuable yarn. So I really didn't want that to be thrown out, so I took it and used it all to make this scarf. I think I had like a little bit left over, but yeah, I really like it. It's like a really cute, like light pink, kind of like a, I don't know, just like a light blush pink. Yeah, and this has gotten so much wear as well, just as like a slight pop of color with my black coat in the winter. Next is another pair of socks, and this is my last pair of socks. I didn't knit that many socks this year. I don't know why. I just had other things to knit. I just have a lot of knitted socks. I don't feel like I need that many more. But these were a fun project. These were the Tromp Le Monde socks by Summerlee Knits. This is part of her book. She has like a whole sock knitting book. And I mean, I just washed them. That's where they're kind of crinkly, and I didn't block them correctly. I just kind of like threw them on the washing rack. But these are them. And I mean, these are obviously really cute because of the slip stitch motif. I think it gives like a cool like visual effect. Yeah, I knit these out of 4-ply sock yarn, the regular Regia Schachenmeier that I always use. And yeah, it was just also kind of like my travel project. After I had finished my Boyland socks, I just wanted another pair of socks that I was able to take with me when I was going somewhere. The pattern was very easy. Like, I mean, once you know how to do the slip stitch slip stitch, then it was like really easy to just take with you and not need to refer to a pattern all the time. And I will say that I've worn these actually a lot. So yeah, they're way easier to put on than the Boyland socks because there's no color work at the top. So it is just a regular, like on the inside, it's just literally like regular knitting. And honestly, these were a big hit. I'm not sure. I love the purple on purple. I think it's definitely something, but... And now it's also just kind of nice to have a pair of socks that were knit a little bit more recently. Yeah, I wear them quite a bit, and they're also like a little bit thicker and a little bit warmer than regular knitted socks because of the slip stitch feature. Next is another knit that I made earlier this year, and this one, I think the idea of this thing is really nice. So it is, I should probably tell you what it is first. It is the Twisted Hat by Kutovakika, which is a triple folded brim, and then there's like twisted, or like, what is this, cable like feature at the top. So this is what it looks like. And you might already be able to tell that this thing is really small for a hat. It also features these like lines that are meant to help you like fold it. And I really like the way it looks in theory, but I just don't like the way it looks in practice. Yeah, so first of all, I knit it in Drops Nepal, which I would definitely use again for hats. I think it's a really nice and maybe a little bit of an underrated yarn. It is a worsted weight yarn that Drops makes. But the thing is that like, I think this looks nice as it is like this, but I don't love the proportion of the brim to the top part. I think the crown is like really small and the brim is really wide. And the next thing is that I made it slightly too small. I'm not sure if that's like a gauge thing. But like if I wear it like this, it'll definitely like slip off. And the thing is, because I added the lines of where it's meant to be folded, like I am restricted to those lines. So like even if I wanted to wear it like with a little bit more like ease at the top, it just looks weird because now I have like this ribbing before it goes into here. So if I were to knit it again, I would do a lot of things differently. I think the hat in itself, like also the way she wears it, it looks really nice. So I'm just not sure if it's like a pattern to execution situation that's going on, if it's a yarn, if like maybe my row gauge is off, because I followed the pattern and like this is the amount of like cables it asked me to do, and like I'm not really sure. So I think if I were to make this again, I would definitely need to make some adjustments to it. I think it's really cute in that like the cabling is really like just a nice feature, but I think the cabling needs to go down way further, or put it this way, you need to start the cabling earlier to be able to like actually wear the hat. And the next thing I think I'm just not gonna do with hats anymore is add the like lines of where they should be folded. I understand that designers do it because it's just easier to keep it in place. It's just easier to like know where to fold it. But I think I've done it one more time, or like, I don't know, it just doesn't work out in the sense that like either you see the line, like if I fold it like this, you can definitely see the purl bumps, or you just want to fold it somewhere else and then it doesn't fold where you want it to fold. So I don't know, I wish I wore this more often. I don't wear it as much. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with it because I just think the proportions are so off. Like the brim is so big. If I fold it where it's meant to be folded, and like I measured this to pattern, but I just don't think this is, it's just not really what I want my hat to look like. So yeah, this is a little bit of a flop. I don't know. Yeah, it's the twisted hat by Kutovakika. Let's leave it at that. Next, we have another sweater. It looks like this. So here it is. This is my Vineman sweater by Vera Jusela. This is also a sweater from the book 22 Weeks of Easy Knits. And I made this in Hobie's soft silk mohair, kid silk mohair. I don't know what their mohair is called. Held together with the Regia. It's like a Regia sock wool that's discontinued because I bought it literally like 15 years ago, 20 years ago, when I thought I was gonna make a sweater like in my youth, but then I didn't. And then I just had this yarn. I still have some of this yarn lying around actually, and I had forked 2 other projects with it because I just didn't like them. And then this year I decided I'm finally gonna make it into another like a nice sweater that I'll actually wear, and that was this one. So this is the Vineman sweater. I really like the self-striping yarn. I also do like that I muted it down with the mohair that I held with it, because otherwise it would be like a lot louder, the stripes. So yeah, I wear the sweater. It is really warm. I did time myself with the sweater, and I like have like a whole like hour challenge on here if that is something that you're interested in. Because it was a really fast knit. I think the gauge of the sweater was like 15.5 stitches, so it was super speedy. I do wear it. It is very warm, so it's kind of like a colder day sweater. It is a very simple like drop shoulder construction, like really nothing special, but if you're looking to just make like a quick drop shoulder sweater, I can definitely recommend it. Don't be fooled by this, like that it goes out. That was my issue with picking up too many stitches for the sleeves. That I'm also not really bothered about, but yeah, I only really get bothered by it when I see myself in the little viewfinder and then I see like this angle. But anyways, that is the Vineman sweater by Vera Jusela. Yeah, from the book 52 Weeks of Easy Knits. Filming this makes me realize how much I knit off that book this year, which makes me quite happy actually, because I don't know, when I have a knitting book, I want to knit from it, so this is a good thing. Next, we have another hat, which my husband asked me to knit like around about a year ago. This was one of my first items that I finished in 2025. He wanted a Norwegian or a Nordic style like skiing hat. We do some cross-country skiing when we can, when there's enough snow, and he wanted a hat to wear. For cross-country skiing, you typically don't wear a helmet because it is kind of like hiking or running, so no one wears a helmet. You don't need to, it's actually more dangerous to. So people wear hats and headbands, and he just wanted one that he could wear while skiing. And I found a pattern. It's called the Vilde Kep by Feli Frey. And I had to adjust it a little bit because I used sock yarn. I used 4-ply sock yarn to make this, so I actually had to add a whole nother like repeat of the star motif, and yeah, so I adjusted it a little bit. But he loves this thing so much. I mean, on me it looks kind of funny, but for him it really works. And it has like a little pom-pom on top because that's what he asked for. And I think it's just a really cute hat with like a Nordic like pattern. That was honestly not that easy to make because I didn't have a round needle that was going to be like big enough for this, or that was like would fit this. So I made it on double pointed needles, and it was like a little bit of a project, and the color work is also definitely like, there's definitely some bulging and stuff, but when he wears it, it kind of stretches out and it works perfectly fine. Okay, the next item is one that I also designed myself, which is a pattern that I will release, I think sometime in January. It's currently being test knit. So this one I'm actually also really excited about. It is a open front vest. It is called the Wilden vest, and it looks like this. So I made it in the Lana Grossa Nera or Zetto, I think it's called, which is the boucle yarn, and then the edge is knit in, what is this? Oh, upcycled alpaca blend. And I just love this thing so much. It gives so much warmth, and I just think it's a really cute like addition. This was inspired by my way back from work, where there is a shop and they have all these sorts of vests kind of like in different colored fleeces. And then I thought, well, maybe I could knit something like that in a boucle yarn. Theirs kind of have pockets and different things like logos attached to it, but I just wanted a really plain one. So that is why I made this, because I just really wanted one. I was passing by every single day and I was like, I just want one of these vests. I wanted it to be like a high neck, so it's kind of like right here is where it closes. And yeah, this is a pretty quick knit because it is a 12 stitch gauge and on really thick needles, and I just love it so much. I don't know what else to say about it. Like, it definitely took a little while. So this was my first version, and I actually had to like crochet a little border around it because I wanted it to get wider. And then what I did was I made the second version, which is not blocked yet, but I knit that essentially to be able to write the pattern for it. And I knit this in a non-boucle yarn, and it is this, like, I held two yarns together. I held Drops Air with Drops Air with Zucchero Filato, which is like a fluffy cotton wool blend. So this is the second version of the Wilden vest, and this is the version that really like allowed me to write the pattern for it and to like figure everything out. For this I-cord, I used the Hobie Rainbow Bamboo, which is like the same yarn that I knit the Margo top out of, which, yeah, worked just fine, I think. And I don't know, I'm just really excited to be able to like have this as my own pattern and to actually like put it out there. I don't want it to be a pattern that's like only for a boucle yarn, which is also why I wanted to make this like not in a boucle yarn. And I kind of wanted to brush it out, but the fabric didn't really let me do that. I guess it was just like the combination of the yarns I used weren't really for brushing out. So maybe I'll make another version to actually be able to brush the wool out, but I really still like it a lot. Yeah, so that is my Wilden vest. The pattern will be coming out in January, I hope in the middle of January, something like that. So stay tuned for that if you like the look of it, if you also want to make your own. So yeah, this one I'm really proud of, because it's definitely kind of like a process of like trying it, like being inspired from something I saw, like trying to make it, like trying to adjust it, trying to like get it so it can actually be written into a pattern, and then the whole process of like grading the pattern and finding test knitters of different sizes who will test knit it, and so on and so forth. It's like a little bit of a process, which I really enjoy, but it's definitely like also work, especially in addition to a 40-hour job. So yeah, these are my two Wilden vests that I made for this pattern. Okay, and then the last pattern, or the last project that I want to talk about, I don't have here with me, unfortunately, because it was also a gift knit. That pattern is the zipper sweater light men's version by Petite knit, and I made it for my dad, so here it is. He requested it, and he, for some reason, requested it in Drops Bell, which is a cotton linen yarn to make like this huge winter jumper out of. I really tried to talk him out of it, but he really wanted it, and that's what he got, because I wasn't gonna argue. And I think it turned out really, really well. I think it just kind of showed me that a sweater doesn't need to be wool. So it's definitely like kind of like a learning experience in that sense. It is currently in Germany for him to wear, so that's why I don't have it here with me. But yeah, this was my biggest project of the year in terms of the amount of yarn it used. So it also took a while, but like I think I knit it relatively quickly, and I actually don't really remember knitting most of it because it was all just stockinette, and like I had made a zipper sweater before last year, so it was relatively mindless in that sense. So yeah, and I think he really enjoys it, so I think it was definitely a successful gift knit. Okay, so now you have seen my 33 items that I knit this year. I always love watching these videos on here on YouTube because I just get so much inspiration out of them. So I really hope that you also found some of the projects I made interesting and maybe yeah, inspired you in some ways or others. Yeah, I post videos on here around about every single week. I try to, of course, sometimes there's things happen in between and then I just genuinely don't have the time, but I really try. So I would love if you would follow me along and subscribe to this channel. It would really help me out. Leave a comment down below. What was your favorite thing that you made this year? I am actually gonna pack all of the statistics, all of the like superlatives, like all those things, like how many meters of yarn I used, which yarns I used, and so on and so forth. That's gonna be a separate video for me, just because I think this is already gonna be such a long video with all the things like I wanted to show. So that's gonna be in a separate video from this one. But leave your comments down below. I always love to read them and I do my best to respond to them as well. So I will see you in the next one, and until then, I hope you take care. Bye.